June is over and it brought us corruption, assassins, gang wars, tragedy, horses. Oh, and a guy named Jade War.
We just kind of casually interviewed one of the greatest fantasy authors of all time. It's not really a big deal. We won't talk about it much. Readers,
Reviewers,
countrymen,
lend us your ears.
And a huge thank you to all of our Patreons.
Thank you to the Pit Fighters, the First Swords, and all of the Bright Stars, Truth and Courage.
Hello and welcome today as myself, Will, and my brother Ed talk about what we read in the month of June. A bit less than usual, but the quality was high. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. I know you read some of your favourite reads of the year.
A bit less. Will, have you seen the size of one of the books I read?
That is true. I apologise. So page-wise...
Apologise to my
a lot.
dice.
So we'll be talking about what we read in the month of June, the last month of the first half. That's what June represents, really. And so I've got 4 books. Ed's got 5. Let's get into it. And then afterwards, a bit of news generally about fantasy and then ourselves as a channel. So let's get into it, Ed. Talk about one of the books you read in June.
The first one was a Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, which is Michael Shara's The Killer Angels, and this is the story of Gettysburg. This is the story of the battle of the Confederacy versus the Union, and it is a multi-POV style military historical fiction told from both sides of the conflict, aka similar to The Heroes, but imagine if Larry McMurtry wrote The Heroes. The style is very on point. It's really immersive, really fun, really quick-witted, really philosophical characters as well. We meet famous people in the Civil War, and there is some truly incredible set pieces here. I don't know too much about the Battle of Gettysburg or much about the Civil War in general. I've kind of read around the Civil War, but I've never really focused on reading about the Civil War, which actually Joe Abercrombie told us we should read more often.
We should.
He recommended Shelby Foote's narrative of the Civil War, which is on the list, but I just know I will become obsessed with reading.
And I'll injure myself if I drop it.
Yeah, it's very
so big.
But The Killer Angels was truly a remarkable book. It's something I recommend to people if you like Gates of Fire, or any of Larry McMurtry's books, or any of Joe Abercrombie's. We're probably going to be talking about him quite a bit in this video. But it was just a fantastic read, a really quick book. It is a... Oh no. It's bent. It is a short book. It is book 2 of a trilogy, but it was written first, and the other 2, so the prequel and the sequel, written by Michael Shara's son, Jeff. So try out The Killer Angels. It's a great read. I recommend it.
How has that happened to your book? Was it when you dropped it earlier?
You probably sat on it. I would not drop. I never drop books.
We often hear the sound of your pile just collapsing, Ed.
That's enough about my piles.
Anyway, a reread for me was Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb, book 2 of the Fast Age trilogy.
Let me guess what you're going to say. Robin Hobb's underrated. No one talks about this book enough. Fitz is really funny.
Wow, have you been in my mind, Ed? Not the funny part, though. That was wrong.
Do we laugh
I decided
in Farseer?
Sometimes, yeah, but... isn't that lovely? Before tragedy strikes. Yeah, so in June, I decided pain, basically. I inflicted it upon myself in a way that I enjoyed. Royal Assassin was incredible. Tragedy strewn everywhere. I love following Fitz making mistakes. You still love him. You think you shouldn't have done that, but it makes sense. He's not quite as sad as in Assassin's Apprentice. He's really awful. Sad. But some terrible things happen. But he's got a bit more agency, and then that's
pretty sad at the end.
Yeah, he's sad in the beginning, middle, and end. But there are some happy bits in the middle. Royal Assassin, incredible. Book 2 of the Farseer trilogy, one of the greatest books of all time, and I will have fisticuffs with anyone who says otherwise.
Sorry, Will. I thought you were, you were transforming to Eminem there. That's quite impressive.
Hey, everybody, take a look at Royal Assassin. Robin Hobb is one of the GOATs. So
when I think of rap, I don't usually think of George Michael, but that's fine.
That's what I go to. But yeah, this is just beautiful prose, beautiful characters. The characterization worked in with plot progression, political intrigue, everything you can ask for. It's incredible. Pick it up.
What more do
if you don't like it, reread it and then reread it again until you love it, and then you'll appreciate the work of greatness that it is.
Just don't read book 3. And the next one I read was The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. This is an incredible story of Edmond Dantes and his fiancée Mercedes. And Edmond Dantes is betrayed by his friends and colleagues and some people who don't even know him. And he is trialed as a traitor. And he is locked up in Chateau d'If in Marseille. And he is then left to his own devices for many years. Many years. And he plots and conceives plans.
He's disciplined.
He's very disciplined. He played the long game. He fully locked in for 14 years.
He is like the definition of revenge is the dish best served cold.
Absolutely, and he was aura farming the whole 14 years that he was in prison. It is a fantastic book of revenge and identity theft. It's not a joke.
It's not a joke, Jim.
Millions of families are affected every year. But The Count of Monte Cristo is just one of my favourite books because of just the writing style, the characters, the tension that Alexander Dumas was able to drip inside. It was just absolutely incredible. I loved it. It was a story that I physically couldn't put down. It's one of the few books that I wish was slightly longer. And that's saying something when it's nearly 1,300 pages.
Yeah.
It is heavier than Iris, who's nearly 2.
So you're practicing for when she gets a bit older.
Yeah, I'm just doing the throwing. But it's an amazing story. I absolutely loved it. I ate it up. And it's going to keep me full for a very long time. It's a great fry up. I'm going to stop now. But Alexander Dumas, I have to read more by him. The Three Musketeers is obviously going to have to be next on my list. But this book obviously was serialized, so that's probably why it's so big as well, because it was published weekly or monthly or bi-monthly as well. But it never feels like it's losing its pacing. It never feels like it drags. The tension is always there, and it's incredibly satisfying seeing Edmond Dantes catch up with the people that left him for dead. So please go read The Count of Monte Cristo. It's nowhere near as scary as it seems. As soon as I read the first chapter, I was like, I'm going to absolutely love this book. And it's not something you need to rush. I did listen to part of it as well. I did some immersive reading, which is my new favourite thing to do. And it was just so much fun. It's been a long time since I had so much fun reading a book.
Very nice, Ed. After Royal Assassin, I thought I'd pick up something a little softer. So I picked up All the Pretty Horses, which is a book about...
so lovely.
It's a book about a boy who rides beyond the American frontier looking for a better life, but instead finds his soul broken by a series of unfortunate events.
Wow, well.
So
yeah, Jim Carrey.
It wasn't, quite what I was looking for as a succession to Royal Assassin.
What was the book he wrote before this, though?
Was it Blood Meridian?
I think so.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well, this is so lovely compared to that. But All the Pretty Horses, there's not much hope, but there's a lot of sentimentality, and that carries you through a lot of the terrible things that happen. It's beautifully written. Cormac McCarthy is one of the top dialogue writers out there. The way that he conveys characterization in a stripped-back way that is not melodramatic at all. The characters are old beyond their years, because we've got characters are between basically 16 and 18. But they don't feel like they're aged up too much. It feels real. They're living a harsh reality, working from the time that they're young teenagers, and you feel that maturity with them, but also the naivety, and that's quite a strange concoction that we often don't see. You either see the maturity because they've lost their naivety, or naivety and immature. Where when they've got the mix of two, it's really interesting, very fresh characters, and the sentimentality.
Can relate.
They want a life where basically they work hard to enjoy themselves. That they just want a simple life like that, but it's not quite how it's going to turn out. And there's a difference between trying to stay alive for good reasons and then what is right. There's some very big moral questions posed in All the Pretty Horses, and you are not given the answers. And it's one that will be on my mind for quite a while. Brilliantly written. Cormac McCarthy strikes gold again with All the Pretty Horses, but one of the Border trilogy.
And I'm excited for you to read The Crossing, which is book 2.
I'll be reading that in July.
And the next one I read was East of Eden by John Steinbeck. And this is a kind of an allegory on the story of Cain and Abel from the Bible. And it is widely considered to be one of America's greatest novels.
It is.
Now, what did I think? I didn't enjoy it, I won't lie. It didn't land for me, and I'm quickly finding I'm not a big fan of this style of book where I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it, but I just didn't connect with it at all. Whether it's like maybe the Southern Gothic feel of it, I'm not so sure. Whether it's the retelling of a story from the Bible that I didn't connect with. Whether it's, seeing some of these characters were fascinating, but I just never fell in love with everyone. I didn't have this kind of connection of emotion to the characters. Whereas if you wrote down their arcs on paper, some of them go on some quite emotional journeys. It is a story of several families as they're associating with each other over a number of years. And it's a story of good and evil and lust and love as well. And that's really fascinating. But I just didn't fall in love with any part of it, unfortunately. I really wanted to. I really want to read more by Steinbeck. And obviously this is considered his magnum opus. He even said that all of his other books have been practice leading him up to this novel. So that's a bit worrying for me, isn't it? But I just quickly realising that it just wasn't a book for me. Unfortunately, I probably will try Grapes of Wrath and hope you enjoy that a little bit more. But yeah, East of Eden didn't connect with me, unfortunately. If it did connect with you, please tell me in the comments why you loved it. And yeah.
Why is Ed wrong?
Why am I wrong? I'd love to read that stuff.
So next up, I've got Jade War, Book 2 of the Greenbone Saga. It's been quite a break since I read Jade City, uni, ruining everything again.
Yeah.
But I've started summer, and I've started off with a lot of the books that I've been meaning to read for quite a while. So carrying on with the series, the Farseid Trilogy, Greenbone Saga, things like that. Can finally do it, and I've enjoyed it. Jade War was worth the wait. It was fantastic, very easy to seep back into this story. It's one that you can have quite a big break from. And so at least people weren't too worried, I imagine, when it was released a year apart, because I just kind of remembered everything naturally. It's one that was really vivid. I loved half of Jade City and I enjoyed the other half. But beyond the enjoyment, it is so vivid. So it stayed in my mind longer than I would have expected. The characters are standout.
It's a story that sticks with you.
It is. And Jade War, I think, is a level above. Everything is just executed really well. There's nothing that I'd say is my favourite ever. They're not my favourite characters ever. It's not my favourite writing ever. And some things, actually, I remember you talked in a previous video. It was a chat with PL and Taylor made between the pages, which we'll talk a bit more about later. You said how it's a lot more telling instead of showing at times.
Yeah.
And that usually I don't enjoy, but gets away with it in the Greenbone Saga.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed that. Everything is just very smooth, very well executed, and it immerses you. Even if I dislike some characters, I'm invested in their journey and I love to follow them. That's the main strength. There are 5-6 different POVs who none of them are weak, really. I enjoy following them all for different reasons. You never are wishing you're just back with someone else, and that is real testament to the strength of the cast as a whole and the amount of plot lines that are progressing throughout the story. There's a really great balance of pacing. Jade War, really well written. I can see this as a great read for beginners getting into fantasy as well as veterans of the genre, because it feels fresh and unique. A lot of people say it's like The Godfather just because it's gangs. Not really. You kind of see a little bit aspect.
It doesn't have the same tone, does it?
No, it's about family, it's about gang warfare.
Yeah.
But you could relate that to a lot of different films and books as well. But I really like that family dynamic, and will you do anything for family, even if you don't like them? It's a big question as well. But yeah, Jade War, big step up from Jade City, and I'm powering straight onto Jade Legacy.
Which is the best of the bunch, I believe, in my humble opinion.
Makes me more excited.
Now, June was an incredible month for me, because not only did I read Count of Monte Cristo, I also read another one of my favourites, a new favourite, which is You Dreamed of Empires by Alvaro Enrique. It's a story of Hernan Cortez in 1519 entering the floating city, the Aztec capital Tenochtitlan, and he meets the character of Moctezuma, the Aztec emperor, and Cortez would love to take over what is now known as Mexico City and establish kind of a Spanish rule in Mexico. And it's a fascinating book. Now, this is a book I'm going to be talking about a lot. I would say if you enjoy Glorious Exploits with that similar kind of style of tone, mixed with humour, mixed with real gravitas of a historical period,
which a lot of people have.
Yeah, please try You Dreamed of Empires. It is an incredible book. It is so funny at times, so wacky and weird and out there. The premise sounds completely crazy. It's split into 3 parts. One of them is before the nap, the middle part is a nap, and the last part is after a nap. So the various characters have a couple of siestas, a couple of sleeps through the day, and they are discovering things about themselves, and it's very fascinating. But really, the story is about Cortez and Moctezuma, and this tug-of-war relationship that they had, and the way that the Aztec nobles are kind of scheming behind Moctezuma's back about how the conquistadors aren't sure how to feel about the Aztec Empire, and it's about Cortez wanting to take over Tenochtitlan and seeing how these famous people from history, how it plays out and how they react to certain things. Now, Alvaro Enrique does some very unique things with his writing. There is a scene in this that reminded me of a scene from Sinners, and there is one scene in the film Sinners that everyone was talking about, and there's a scene here that feels exactly like that, which is incredible to read as well as see as well. It's a great read. The prose is so funny at times, so on the nose, and it's really, really powerful. There are some disturbing scenes, there are some harrowing elements as well, but it's such a brilliant book to read. It really made me feel a lot of emotions, and the ending was one of the wackiest, quirkiest endings, crazy, that I think I will ever read, and there are several passages that are going to stick with me forever. It's one of those books you know that you're reading just a masterpiece that could only come from one person, which is this author. No
Well, it's high on my TBR now, Ed. I really want to read it.
Look how small it is.
It's great. And I do need palate cleansers.
It's a great palate cleanser. So yeah, You Dreamed of Empires, historical fiction, fantasy, magical realism. Try it.
Very nice. And then last up for me, I've got A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. Book 2 of the Leviathan trilogy? I've forgotten what the series is actually called. But book 2, the sequel to the Tainted Cup. This is weird fantasy mixed with mystery, mixed with great characterization. It's epic and intimate at the same time. We've got this very big backdrop, an empire beset by leviathans, which bring disease and death with them. And they're being held back by the empire. And to do this, they have crafted a lot of people, all physically and mentally altered them for different purposes to protect the frontier so that the rest of the population can live with peace and security. We've got a character who is basically an investigator, and if he has a drug, he can remember everything he sees, and so pretty important when you're going on a crime scene for the first time. And he can recount it after with perfect memory, and his characterization is great. The relationship with his boss is masterful. I really like the progression. They've got secrets from each other. How are they going to get revealed? You feel the tension of that, and the lifestyle weighing him down. Really great mystery. I think I preferred the mystery of book 2, but the initial discovery of this world of book 1, because it is so unique, so fresh, that obviously book 2, it does do a lot of very different things, so I felt that again, and it has reinvigorated my love of kind of new, unique fantasy. But I'll probably prefer the Tainted Cup in that respect, but you can feel the characterization has improved, and the actual mystery we're investigating I preferred in A Drop of Corruption as well. It's one that's a really solid, great read, really enjoyed it, and as I said, has had an impact outside of the actual content, because I really enjoyed kind of the freshness of the fantasy in it.
And you did a lovely review, Will, that made me want to pick these books up, so nice one. Thanks for that.
No worries.
Your pleasure. And the last one for me was a recent favourite. William has been asking me to read it. He said, this is a book for you. And I do agree. Buffalo Hunter Hunter is a fantastic read. I absolutely loved it. What I'm loving seeing and experiencing is fantasy in different genres. And this book has quite a few fantastical elements, even though it is a story of Goodstab, a man who is Blackfeet, and he was living in the Blackfeet lands, and what are they called again? The mountains. What do they call them in the book? The backbone.
Yeah.
Backbone of the world, which is the mountains where the Blackfeet reside. And we have this man, Goodstab, is relaying his life, his experiences to a Lutheran, I believe, priest. In 1912, and he's lived quite the life, and then someone in the 21st century finds their great grandfather's journal, and their great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, the person who wrote the journal, was the person who was interviewing the Lutheran priest who was interviewing Goodstab, the member of the Blackfeet tribe. And seeing how the fantasy is used in a historical period, in a historical context, really adds and lends a real weight to it. And this is, I won't kind of give too many spoilers because I think it's a book that you should go in blind. I will say this, it's the best prose I've ever read outside of Silence of the Girls. It is horrifying and powerful and funny at times, and again, like You Dreamed of Empires, a lot of scenes here will stick with me for a long, long time. I think Goodstab's narration was absolutely superb. The style of storytelling was so on the nose, and Stephen Graham Jones is a craftsman, someone who you can really tell puts a lot of love and care into their work, into the vocabulary, into the lexicon, and it's just dripping in immersion and emotion as well. Really, really powerful book that is my favourite of the year. Has to be my favourite of the year so far, and it can't be recency bias because it's just good. It's just too good. But I'm going to be talking about this book a lot, and I already want to reread it. It's
very
just
nice,
incredible.
That's when you know it's a great book.
Yeah,
when
absolutely.
you want to experience it again already.
And I want to experience more by Stephen Graham Jones. I do believe that pretty much everyone is saying this is his masterpiece. But I would love to read more books by him because just something really connected with me here. It's got a lot of heart, a lot of passion, a lot of energy. This book, it feels like it's kind of brimming, a pot that's brimming, it's boiling over, and it's just incredible. So please go check it out.
Very nice, Ed. And have you got any more?
Well, that is all of my reads of June. It's probably my best reading month of the year. Just
Three new favourites.
Quality is incredible. The Killer Angels as well, another favourite.
Wow.
So
yeah.
Four new favourites I would have to say I read in the month of June.
Very nice. We will talk about a book of the month in a little bit.
Yes, we will.
Which you might have spoiled the answer a bit already.
You might.
Maybe you can say two, so you can say your runner-up as well. But now onto the book news. The main thing is we had the incredible honour of interviewing Joe Abercrombie for The Broken Binding.
Joe, yeah.
Yeah, good old Joe. And we interviewed him the day after the announcement that James Cameron had snapped up the rights to The Devils, the adaptation rights, that is. And
when you say James
news.
Cameron, do you mean Jimmy C?
Jimmy C.
Yeah.
Jimmy C is what Joe Abercrombie calls him. But anyway, it was an incredible honour, amazing experience. Thank you to The Broken Binding. And it's been awesome to see how many people are loving The Devils.
The Devils is widely loved. It's done so well. I mean, look at the bestseller lists. Look at all the special editions of it. I think it's really landed with people in the fantasy, who love fantasy, and people who don't love fantasy. Even my future mother-in-law, Liza, is not the biggest fantasy fan. She does read some fantasy, but she's listening to The Devils and messages me whenever she's laughing, which is quite often.
Yeah.
So no, it's really, really good. And it's great to see so many people enjoying The Devils and interviewing Joe at the Glee Club in Birmingham, which was a whole different level. Very different to a YouTube interview where you can kind of hide behind the screen or you can tap Will and be like, right, your question now. This was, Joe's great to interview. I think if you watch any interview with him, it's going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't matter who's interviewing him, really. He's just a great guy to talk to and listen to him make his jokes and crack his answers. But we had a lot of fun. And
then we had a chat with P.L. Stewart and then Taylor May between the pages. That was awesome. Please go check that out. They are incredible people, so interesting to chat to. We got a lot of recommendations from them, so we'll be picking them up soon. But do check that chat out. That was a lot of fun. And it was also June was a great month for the channel, and overall it means that the first 6 months of 2025 were the best 6 months for the channel ever. So that's pretty cool, Ed.
Ever.
Pretty cool.
Done and dusted. YouTube
custard.
Completed it, mate.
Yeah, not quite yet, but the last 6 months were great. So thank you everyone who's enjoying the channel for some reason. I'll never understand why.
Strange people on the internet.
Exactly, but I hope you picked a few recommendations up from us, and we're very excited for the next 6 months. We've got some bangers and mash ready for the rest of the year. But there we go. That's the news. Now let's get into our books of the month.
I'll just get it over and done with. My book of the month has to be Buffalo Hunter Hunter. Just a book that's dripping in immersion and everything that you want it to be dripping in, really. Everything good. Please check it out. I know it's a new release as well, so a lot of people are reading it, but incredible.
And then I'm not including rereads, so not royal assassin. It would have been, but we don't allow that, do we? So I've got all the pretty horses. This was gorgeous, devastating, heartbreaking, and made me feel lonely.
I don't think I've ever heard you say the word gorgeous.
Wow. Well, this has changed me. There's a first for everything. It made me want to take your cowboy hat, Ed, and then sit staring at the horizon on my own for a while.
I do that sometimes.
Yeah, so not sure that's what you want the feeling you want to get, but
no,
it was great. It was a great read. So yeah,
peak
Pretty Horses,
loneliness.
fantastic. There we go, book of the month. There we go. That is June. Let us know what you read in June, your book of the month, what you're excited for July, and just everything else book related. Thank you so much for watching. Truth and Courage, The Brothers Gwynne.
Truth and Courage, The Brothers Gwynne.